Barely 7 years after the demise of 19th century's most popular man, Napoleon Bonaparte, a 16-year-old was on everyone's lips in Europe. He was so popular that he was called the Child of Europe, and newspapers had their highest sales when his name was mentioned. Poets, authors, and even doctors sort everything to find a piece of data about him. Kaspar Hauser's sudden presence was like a thunderclap in the otherwise peaceful world of Nuremberg. With no past to claim and no relative to hold, he became a symbol of confusion, sparking such endless debates and conflicts that even the tyranny of Adolf Hitler couldn't drown people's thirst for answers. What was so special about Kaspar, the Child of Europe Hauser? From the time he could remember, Kaspar Hauser lived all alone in a dark, small room. His bed was made of straw, and he had 3 wooden friends to keep him company: 2 toy horses and a wooden dog. When the sun decided to take a break, every morning brought a simple feast: bread made from rye and water to drink. But sometimes the water tasted strange, and this would make him sleep deeper than usual. And after those mysterious sleeps, everything would be different. The straw he lay on would be fresh, and his hair and nails all neat and trimmed. It was like magic, but he never saw who did it. One day, a secret visitor arrived, someone who wouldn't show his face. He was the first person that he had ever seen. He gently held Hauser's hand and helped him write his name on paper. He also taught Hauser how to stand and walk. This masked man knew it was time and brought Hauser to the light. In 1828, the city of Nuremberg met its fate. Kaspar Hauser, a small figure, wearing clothes that were tired and torn, arrived at the square. He held on to a special letter. Inside were 2 letters, each holding a piece of his story. The first letter asked a soldier to care for Hauser, written by someone who wanted to keep their name a secret. They had looked after him, but couldn't do it anymore. The second letter was like a whisper from his past, from his mother. She said his father was gone, and she couldn't take care of him, so off he went to the army. Hauser had a strange phrase, he said. He had learned it from the person who visited him in the hidden room. "I want to be a cavalryman, as my father was," he would repeat, but it wasn't making sense to the people who had found this 17-year-old boy. Drawn by compassion, people came to his aid, but something about him drew them back, something so bad that all 5 of his custodians testified to it. Kaspar Hauser's story was the talk of the city, and Paul Johann von Feuerbach, a man who knew the law well, decided to dig into Hauser's mystery. Nuremberg took care of Hauser. Money was donated for his welfare, and he was put under the care of Friedrich Daumer, a teacher who saw his talent for drawing. Time went on, and strange things began to happen. Hauser was found hurt in a cellar, blood on his forehead. He told a puzzling story about a hooded person who hurt him and said he had to die in Nuremberg. People wondered if he had hurt himself to get pity or to escape rebuke from Daumer, who had taken notice of Hauser's lying trait. His relationship with Daumer ended, and he was put in the care of Johann Bieberbach. But that didn't stop a life-threatening incident from occurring. A loud sound echoed from Hauser's room. When people came running, they found him with a wound on his head. He said he was trying to reach some books on a chair when it fell, and a pistol hanging on the wall went off by accident. But was it really an accident? Some thought he might have made up this story too, just like before, to get sympathy. Things got more complicated for Hauser. His relationship with the Bieberbachs turned sour. He moved to the home of Baron von Tucker. Even there, he couldn't seem to escape the lies. Mrs. Bieberbach called him out for being full of lies and pretending. Then, Lord Stanhope, a nobleman from Britain, took a liking to Kaspar. He was intrigued by Hauser's strange tale and wanted to find out more. He spent a lot of money uncovering Hauser's past. As time went on, Lord Stanhope's confidence in Hauser's story began to fade. The search for the truth didn't seem to bring much clarity. Doubts cast long shadows on the story's reliability. In the end, Hauser was taken to Ansbach, looked after by a teacher named Johann Georg Meyer, but even this new beginning had a cloud of uncertainty hanging over it. 2 years had passed without incident. This had been the longest he had stayed with someone since his appearance in Nuremberg, but the darkness in him was still lurking. On a fateful day in Ansbach, Hauser returned home with a deep wound in his left breast. His voice trembled as he recounted the story. He mentioned he was tricked into going to the Ansbach court garden, where he found himself face to face with a stranger. By the third day, Kaspar Hauser had died of the wound he sustained. His death fuels more questions and mysteries. At the Ansbach court garden, a small purse and a note were found, as Hauser directed. The note, written by the person who supposedly hurt him, mentioned the attacker's hometown. It was a strange clue to leave behind. Why would someone who wanted to harm him also give him a note that could point back to them? Another strange piece came to light. In the garden where Hauser said he was attacked, only one set of footprints marked the snow. The absence of a second set of prints didn't add up. Did he really meet someone there? Or was it something else? A 2005 autopsy couldn't determine if it was suicide or homicidal. The death of the Child of Europe was the beginning of the end for the rumors and controversies surrounding poor Kaspar Hauser. Books, articles, movies, and even plays tried to figure out the puzzle Hauser left behind. It was as if everyone wanted to solve the mystery of his life and get fame for doing so. Newspapers were made to talk about where he came from and who he was. Good-hearted people, deep thinkers, and smart experts all looked into his story. One psychologist, John Money, found a pattern in Hauser's story. John put together stories from 100 years ago about kids who weren't treated well. He said that Hauser's story was like a picture of how kids can be hurt and ignored, and it had been happening for a long time. John Money also talked about new studies that showed how being ignored or hurt could make kids sick in their body and mind. It could make them small, not grow well, and even change how they act with others. All of these things happened to Hauser as well. More cases like his started to show up. These symptoms eventually became known as Hauser syndrome. Yet his origin was still a mystery. Back in 1829, rumors whispered that Hauser might not be an ordinary boy. Some believed he could have been the true Prince of Baden, born in 1812. But history tells us that this prince died just days after his birth. Could it be that this prince was switched with another child, only to reappear as Kaspar Hauser 16 years later? If this tale holds a grain of truth, then Hauser's parents would be no ordinary folks. They would trace their roots to Charles, the Grand Duke of Baden, and Stéphanie de Beauharnais, a woman linked to Napoleon's story. But even as uncertainty grows, the House of Baden won't allow the remains of Stéphanie de Beauharnais or the child buried as her son to be examined. These mysteries remained locked away, hidden from our prying eyes. Given the obvious inaccuracies surrounding Hauser's explanation of his life's beginning and end, it is impossible to believe the validity of his entire story. It seems that a substantial chunk of the mystery surrounding Kaspar Hauser was likely created by Hauser himself, either as an intentional deceit or as a result of his mental health problems. Even after 2 centuries, the subject of whether Hauser was a scam artist or just a mystery remains a source of debate and discussion. Don't forget to hit that like button, leave your debate and discussion in the comments down below. And if you're craving more curious tales from history, be sure to subscribe. Keep exploring and stay curious with HistOddities.